Hi, I'm Jim Spina. Thanks for sharing some time with me. I want to talk to you today a little bit about my father. My father was my hero. He's still my hero. My dad got drafted when he was 17 years old after high school to serve in World War II. He served in the Army Air Corps. At the time, there was no Air Force, and he was on B 17 bombers. They flew the bombing runs, most of the bombing runs over Germany, and are largely attributed with the defeat of the Axis powers because of the tremendous capability of those aircraft. He was definitely an old school guy. I'm an old school guy too, and he taught me a lot of things. I guess in some ways I'm a lot like him, but in ways that I wish I could be, I'm not. He was, without question, the smartest man I have ever known. One of the only, and perhaps the last true Renaissance man I know. My father was a professional musician. He played with the big bands. He played tenor saxophone in New York City when he got out of when World War II was done. He went on to college on the GI Bill. Was an architect. He taught architectural drafting. He built houses, many houses. He remodeled bathrooms, kitchens. He was a master plumber. He was a master electrician. The guy could do just about anything he set his mind to. I remember one time coming home, and he had taken the transmission. And for those of you familiar or not familiar with it, an automatic transmission has more parts in it than any other part, including the engine in an automobile. It's an incredibly complex piece of machinery that works by shifting small amounts of hydraulic fluid through hydrodynamics. It laid it all out. I saw at least 300 little tiny pieces, and he was repairing the transmission. He did that with our TVs, anything. He truly was a Renaissance man. He was very creative. He was very analytical. It's unusual for you to see that type of. Usually, I meet people that either have a really strong or dominant left brain or dominant right brain, but to see that analytical, creative superpositioning, that was impressive. And he loved me. What's the most important thing we remember about our parents? Is that they loved us, no matter what. He was old school, but he was in World War II, and he had these phrases. I have a younger brother. I have two sisters and a younger brother, Bob, and he's 2 years younger than me. But my dad always used to use the phrase, which you don't hear too much anymore. You're busting my balls. He would use that term all the time, and he could use it to mean just about anything you wanted. Quit busting my balls, meaning somebody that's trying to chide him. Jesus, I busted my balls in that job. Means you really worked hard. Or, oh man, this thing is going to bust my balls, meaning a problem he can't solve. He used it for everything. And my brother and I started picking it up when we were in grade school. My mother wasn't too fond of that saying, but we loved it. I inherited another thing from my father. My father died of alcoholism when he was 60 years old. I'm a recovered alcoholic. It doesn't take a genius to figure out that there's a strong hereditary link to alcoholism. It was observed 2,000 years ago. The Greeks observed it. The Romans observed it. We've observed it. The Human Genome Project has made advances in isolating the genetic link to alcoholism. I don't blame my father for that. In fact, I don't blame anybody for the fact that I was born with a genetic predispositioning towards alcoholism. I regret deeply that it ended my father's life. And on the same token, I'm extremely grateful. It ended my life too. I had cirrhosis as well. I bled out. I got a second chance. I was resuscitated. I had a spontaneous, extraordinary event, a C. And after a near-death experience and a series of miracles, alcoholism was lifted from me. My father, for whatever reason, didn't have that providence. And I do believe that it was a part of my destiny, as it was a part of his destiny, to be an alcoholic. And that doesn't impugn him, nor me, nor anybody that suffers from this affliction. Do you impugn somebody? Do we say something horrible about somebody that's born with a predisposition towards diabetes? That's well established. There's a well established hereditary link with that, as well as cancer, various types of cancer, as well as strange diseases like Lou Gehrig's disease, and I could go on. My father taught me a few really important things in life. Here's what he told me one time that I've never forgotten. I was 8 years old and he was walking me to the corner store. And there was a guy, and he looked like a bum, frankly. He was sitting on the stoop, and he said something to my father I couldn't really hear. He was dirty. Yeah, I guess what was formerly a white t-shirt. My father went inside the store, bought me some candy. He got himself a pack of cigarettes. And he came back out with a box of cigars. And he handed this individual these cigars. And they talked for a little bit. And the guy hugged my father and we left. And we were walking down the street. And Lord knows me what possessed me, but I was only 8. And I said, Dad, why'd you buy something for that bum? That was a mistake. He stopped me and he said, Son, you never ever look down on a man unless it's to pick him up. Turns out that man was my father's mentor. He taught him how to build houses. He gave my father his first job when he was 16 years old before he got drafted. He taught him to be a man. He taught him so much about the trades in those times. My father loved him dearly. Mark was his name. Mark was an alcoholic too. Mark's wife left him. And he spiraled into the typical abyss in death that alcoholism brings. Because alcoholism only has one purpose in life, and that's to murder the alcoholic. And he'll get him alone first if he can. And he's damn successful at doing both of those. My father showed this man charity, benevolence, gratitude, and he taught me respect. Everything is not as it appears, and you can't see everything that's on the inside. In fact, you can't see anything on the inside. When he saw Mark, he saw a good man, a man with values, integrity, a hard worker, a man who gave generously of his time to teach a young, dumb 16-year-old kid a valuable craft. I saw a dirty bum with a dirty shirt that hadn't been washed in weeks. That's the difference. I don't mind that this apple didn't fall too far from that tree. I don't mind it at all. Thanks for sharing that moment with me.